Hey there, readers, writers, and friends. Story Serpent here, and today we are talking about The Aquanaut by channel favorite Dan Santat. It was published back in 2022 with Graphics, which is the Scholastic imprint that does most of its graphic novels. The binding on this one, obviously, I got it from the library. Stop harassing me. I'm giving it back. And I had a great time with it. The hardcover binding, honestly, when it comes to graphic novels, I am a fan of the hardback binding. They seem to hold up way better that way than they do in the paperback. And this book was just thoroughly enjoyable from beginning to end. But before we get into that, today's random words are like, share, subscribe, amphibious. One of the things I love about Dan Santat's work is that his stories always have a really excellent arc, and they always have characters we want to spend time with. When Dan is both the author and the illustrator, you're almost guaranteed that this is gonna be good. Should we see what the book has to say for itself? Who is the Aquanaut? Ever since her father was lost at sea, Sophia has been moping around Aqualand, a marine theme park. But Sophia's world is turned upside down when the Aquanaut breaks into the park's research lab. To her amazement, Sophia discovers that the Aquanaut is not what it seems. Inside lives a band of goofy sea creatures, and when they all realize that Aqualand is more sinister than advertised, Sophia is determined to help the Aquanaut crew free the park's captive marine life before it's too late. I really enjoy the premise here. I love the idea of all of these fun little critters manning this suit, and it does not disappoint. All of these fun little sea critters have really distinctive personalities. They are super fun together as a group. As always, Santat's illustrations are just so much fun. They're always very clean. They've got a great color palette. I love the way he kind of does the ocean in these dark blues. And then he's always doing Aqualand and the research labs in these really bright colors. As you can see, things get intense a time or two. The other thing I love about Dan's work is that he almost always gives us these little snippets in the back, these behind the scenes panels of maybe where the idea started from, how he developed the story. One of the things I love about the way Dan Santat works is that he always has these behind the scenes explanations about how he developed the characters, what he was interested in writing the story about, where it started, kind of how they develop. And I don't know if you can see, but we have these early sketches of Sophie, and they look a great deal about a character we've been introduced to this last year that Dan illustrated in The Misfits. And seeing kind of where the beginnings of that might have come from is really cool to me. I love watching authors and illustrators develop over time. If I have qualms, it's that this story is not nearly as developed as it could be. We jump throughout time a great deal. We also get the sense that there are relationships that have developed that we don't really get to see that development. I would have loved to see more of Sophie getting to know these sea creatures. How is she really communicating with them? Why is she talking to them like they can talk back? How does she go from punching the Aquanaut in the face, as we saw, to having a relationship, at the very least, with one or two of these sea creature characters? I also would have liked to see more of the consequences based on the choices that are made. What actually happens to Sophie? What actually happens to her uncle in the aftermath of these creatures getting their way in the end? The other thing I had a problem with, and Don't get me wrong. Places like SeaWorld, any place that calls itself an aquarium, a research lab, it has an ethical obligation to the creatures that are on display that are being studied. And, you know, given that documentaries like Blackfish have a reason to exist, obviously that scrutiny can have positive consequences. But seeing this place just being labeled as it's sinister, it's bad, it's not good what's happening to these animals, that seems, the morality there seems a little flat, a little black and white. But then again, this is a middle grade. I would even say that this is probably a younger middle grade. Your primary audience here is probably like between the ages of 6 and 10. Much older than that, and I don't think they're going to be as interested. But I sure had a lot of fun with it, and with zero irony, I can say that this is a best beach read. If you have a story you'd like to see the serpent take on, feel free to put it in the comments. And until next time, read on, write on, stay sharp.